being slow this morning.
There we go.
Okay. You're live.
All right. Today's February 7th, and you're tuned in to Cherished Pieces in Tillsonburg, Ontario.
And welcome. We like that it's pretty nice that you will take your time and join us, even if it's on a rewind, that you'll take the time to join us. And we really we appreciate that, and it's so nice to see all of you. And it's interesting because some of these people have been traveling.
Yes.
And they're saying hi from all kinds of places. This is kind of a nice time of year to be away and somewhere warm. And some people are returning from warm. Some people are heading out to warm.
Although it looks like it will be a really nice day with the sunshine.
Yeah.
A little cool, but it'll still be nice.
Oh, and look at, she is watching us from Springbok.
Resort.
Erica is in at a game reserve on safari in South Africa and watching us. Good morning to Erica and John Lawrence.
And Gwen just posted last week she was on a cruise watching us, so that's fun too.
It is. I know I saw Teresa from Dominican one day. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Woodstock.
Sunny Woodstock. Hey, we can say that this week, so that's good.
Yeah, it is good.
And Florida. Quite a few from Florida. And the rest of us will travel down to our sewing areas or
Yeah, and just hibernate with our sewing stuff.
maybe sit by a window today.
This would be a
Or
good
go
day for
out
that.
for a walk. That'd be even better.
I saw Mary LePage there.
Patricia.
Mary Crow and Barbara Sherwood. Beth McLaughlin.
Mm.
Oh, look at all of you.
All right.
Thank you. So, Miss Tammy, what do we have for door prizes today?
Door prizes. I have Scrap Crazy. It's a little booklet with templates to help you use up some of your scraps since we'll probably still have some hibernating days ahead. I have a little wool pouch with the wool in it and the thread, so you can just finish that. And then I have 7 little springy fat quarters. I thought, we want some color and sunshine this time of year, so.
Oh, nice
Pick
choice.
some of that.
Nice choice. Somebody will be happy to get those.
And Darlene will be writing your name down if you make a comment, and we'll draw at the end.
Oh, there's Els from Holland.
And
So-
then we have a few items of business.
Okay. Down to business, Tammy.
All right, so let's start with the sale.
Okay.
Right now we have 40% off selected panels, and there's a basket, and you'll find near the cash desk. There's also a $5 panel bucket near clearance, and 30% off selected books.
Yeah, they're on a book rack all together, and there's a big sign right above them. So,
Okay. And then we just wanted to do a quick class shout out. So the paper piecing part 2 is Saturday, February 24th. And then we're adding a new class. It's the umbrella class. So if you're watching last week, we showed a couple of umbrellas. So we booked a date. It's Tuesday, March 26th with Cheryl. And we're open to filling that class.
and I think some of you were probably interested. I know we had a couple of people ask, how much would the hardware be? So with the pattern, because you require a pattern with it, pattern and the really nice, and this is the nice high quality umbrella, with the nice wooden handle and stuff that we showed. It's $40, so it would be $40 for your umbrella hardware and your pattern. So.
Okay.
And then you can make an amazing umbrella that is suited just for you.
So probably for the first class, you would just pick an all-over pattern. You're not going to want a fussy cut, until you get the hang of it. If you wanted to make a second umbrella, then that would be a great time to do that.
So I'll be ordering hardware here, so we need to hear from you if this is the class that you'd like to sign up for. Are you going to be putting it on the webpage too?
Yes.
Did we take that? Yeah, okay.
It's not on there because we just did this last night.
Yep.
Or you can call us. That's always a really good way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so we can get your payment and stuff.
Okay.
Okay. So I think Arlene has a demo for us.
So Arlene, is that?
We're going to talk about binding. So we know how fun that is for some of you who love it and others cringe. But maybe Arlene will make it easier for you.
So on with the show.
Good morning, everyone. So I do have some just hints and tricks for binding. I don't mind doing binding. I enjoy sitting there, hand stitching. It doesn't bother me. So, but I don't want all of your quilts to bind. I'm happy to do my own.
I was going to send you mine.
So we'll start with creating the binding strips. And I know we've shown this before, but we have the Binding Ease tool. So I thought I'd show you again. I have one at home. I use it all the time. And it does make it quick and easy to make your binding.
I really like mine.
So I do 2.5 inch strips. I know some of you might go a little bigger or some go smaller. And that's your choice. 2.5 works for me. So we'll switch to a different view here and we'll show how to. So what I do is I get it started a little bit. That's what I find is the easiest. Just like that. And then you just feed it through these little slots on the binding ease. Go like that. And then you just put your iron right on it, leave it on. This is silicone, so it can get nice and hot and the heat comes back, and you just slide your strip through. And it'll go, like when you join your seams, it'll slide right through, no problems. And you just feed it through with this hand, and I'm just kind of folding it with my right hand. And you're just sliding it through. And you can sit there and do most of the quilt binding. You don't even really have to, keep that on your base to keep it warm.
No, because of the heat is staying on that silicone.
That's right.
It's being absorbed there, and it goes a long, long time.
And you just go all the way to the end. And then you get this really crisp, flat binding. Quite simple, quite easy.
And no fingers burned.
No fingers burned. So that's the first thing I do is I get my binding ease out and I make my long strip of binding. So the next thing I would do is I would just sew it on using your 1/4 inch. Now we were just discussing the different ways to do corners. I like to stop at about 1/4 inch from the edge. And then I start, and then you flip it over and do your 45, and then I start right on the edge and then go to the next corner. People do it a little different, but again, that works for me. So I thought I'd show you how I join the strips when you're finishing, when you got your 2 ends at the bottom. And I used to always just do it straight because the 45 would throw me off and make it not fun for me until I saw this trick. And now this is my go-to. I have no problem doing it, and it makes it very simple. So you want to leave a long tail when you start. So start and leave that long tail. And then when you finish, you want your long tail. So the first thing I will do is I'll kind of just cut it a little shorter. Like, you don't need all of this. So I just cut it a little shorter. Now with this strip that you just cut off, or your scrap, it's 2.5 inches. I will open it up. And what I'll do is I'll lay this strip flat down. I'll lay this one kind of in the middle where you want that seam to be. And then I'll lay this one. So that is kind of your guide. So this top strip, I will cut at the end of the 2.5, and then I'll flip this one over and I'll cut this one at the 2.5. So that's kind of your hint on your size. Then I'll take that away and I'll open these strips up. So this one I'll open and lay right side up, and this one I'll open and lay right side down on the 45, just like you do when you're sewing. Now this is where you could mark it with a pen, or if you have the seam tape on your sewing machine, you can cheat and you don't even have to mark it. You just follow that angle line. I always pin it because sometimes you're working with a lot of bulk with your fabric, and I usually pin it in the corner and then a second time away. So I don't necessarily have to remove those pins when I'm sewing. I can just leave them because I've pinned them in such a way that they're not in my way. That's just my little trick because I don't want to have to, I don't want it to shift. So you go to your sewing machine and you would sew along that line. So that would look like this now. So I've gone to my sewing machine and I've sewed on that 45. So you can see already that I've got that angle. And then you would trim it and you would press it open or finger press it. Often I just finger press it because sometimes it's bulky when you have a big quilt. You just finger press it, put that there, sew again on your 1/4 inch across, and there you have a joined seam on your 45 to match the rest of your 45s.
And the advantage of doing a 45 is for strength.
Is for strength, yes. Yep. I also find it a little easier. It's not as bulky. If you had a straight edge, you've got those seams that create some bulk. So after I would do that and it would be sewn, I do take the time to go along with my iron and sew the seam up. Press it, sorry. I press it up all the way around. Now if this was sewn all the way around. But I find that easier when you go to do your binding, that's all pressed up and you get a nice crisp seam. Then you would go to the back side of your quilt and it's easy to fold over. And this is where I would use all of our handy little clips. And I clip a few. I don't use too many. I just clip a few and then I'll sew by hand and then keep working my way around, moving the clips along. So I like to use different needles. I like a little bit of a longer needle and I like a big head because I want to be able to thread it easy. And I always double my thread. So then I have, the needle never falls out of the thread. I hate when you're sewing and the thread slips out. So I always double it so I don't ever have to worry about that. So, and then also sometimes your thread will get tangled or stuck. So that's where you could use thread magic. It just helps the thread glide through. It doesn't get tangled or twisted and you get those little knots. So that's something you can think about.
Somebody's asking about showing you how you put the mitering on. Like how you miter the corners.
Mitered the corners. Okay, let's see if it can show in...
Or do you have a piece of binding you can show that?
Yeah, I could show that. Let's do it with this. We'll do it on this side. So I would be sewing my binding on the edge, 1/4 inch, and then from the edge of your quilt, I always just use my finger, but it's about 1/4 inch. You want to stop sewing. And you go back and forth a few times to really keep that in hold. And then I would go up like that.
So it's a nice perfect 45.
Nice 45, and then I go back down. And I want this fold when you go back down. I don't like to match it perfectly. I go a little bit under the edge of your quilt, just a little bit. And then you would sew on the edge here, back and forth, and then continue sewing down that edge to the next 1/4. And that way when you flip it, you will get a 45. I hope you can all see my fingers. They're not in your way. So that's how I do my corners. But yeah, so that's just a few hints on binding. And then I thought I would show you a way that I saw recently, and now it's my new favorite thing to hold, is something to have your binding ready for you. A lot of people like to make their binding while they're making their quilt. They don't necessarily wait for it to get back from the long armors or get back quilted. Their binding is sitting there ready to go, cut and sewn together in the strips. So here's a fun way to store that binding. So all you're doing is taking a good old pool noodle from the dollar store or wherever you can find them, and you cut an 8-inch piece. And I just use scissors. I just cut it with some not my sewing scissors, but scissors. And
not your sewing scissors?
No. Then next you would need a piece of fabric, 9 inches by, mine's about 11 3/4. What I did is I took a 9-inch strip and cut it in 4 sections after you cut the selvage off, cut the fold off, and then I cut it in half. So I just kind of, I want to use the fabric that I have. I don't want little bits wasted. So that's all I have. That's the fabric that you need. And the first step would be, is to just press a little 1/2 inch seam on one side, on the long side. And the next, this is the fun part. I had gotten this brand new glue gun from my sweet husband, who gave me a battery to make it cordless, so I'm pretty excited to use it for you all. But anyways, that's a shout out to my husband. You can use craft glue or white glue, but I like to use hot glue because it's a little quicker. You just run your hot glue along that edge, just along the edge, and make a seam.
And you're the glue gun queen, aren't you?
I love my glue gun. It's fun to use because it's quick. Then you take your pool noodle, kind of center it in there, run a bead of glue on it, and it will melt a little, but it works still because the glue gun is so hot. Push it on your fabric and roll it. And then glue this seam down where you already glued the seam. Just for a fold, you just glue it down nice and tight, like that. So you're just covering that pool noodle. Then with the end, you're just putting a whole bunch of glue in the hole and around the edge of the hole, and this is where, if you're going to get burnt, you will get burnt. And you're just pushing it down in there. You might have to dab some more glue in there, but you're just pushing it in to kind of hide that seam. And you do it the same for both sides, so it looks like that when it's all pushed in there and glued. You could use a popsicle stick or even an empty glue, like a glue stick that hasn't been burnt yet, to get in there so you don't burn your fingers.
You know, these would be nice little gifts.
They would be fun, yeah. Then, because it's like a foam from the pool noodle, you can poke pins in it. So you can start your binding, poke a pin in it so you know it's not going anywhere, and wrap your binding around. And then it's ready to go. It's stored for you, and I'm gonna shut that off. And then even when you take that pin off and it sits on the floor beside your sewing machine, and as you're sewing it on, it'll just unwind for you as you're sewing it on your quilt. So there's my fun little trick on how to store your binding. You could make a few of these and have them ready to go in a basket. You could put a little note on it of what quilt it's for. And
so they want to know where the glue gun, where they can purchase that.
Oh yes, my glue gun. This was an Amazon. It fits the Milwaukee batteries, but it's not Milwaukee. It's a off-brand. But apparently you can get it for DeWalt if your husband's a DeWalt guy, or different batteries. But yes, this is the ultimate glue gun. I'm very happy with it.
Amazon saved the day.
Amazon.
You have this longer pool noodle here.
Yes. So, because the pool noodle comes, I don't know, what is it, 5 feet or so?
Yeah. But so, like, I know Gladys, with their beginner's class, when they get going on their quilt, like if something's partially done and you're transporting it back and forth to class, she will wrap her quilt in it, like roll it up.
Yeah.
So that, and then just brings it like that.
Brings it on a pool noodle, yeah.
Puts a couple pins in it.
That's right.
And then you're not folding it.
Yeah.
And messing up all those nice seams that you've been pressing.
Yeah.
So these pool noodles are great.
They're great.
But I think these would be wonderful gifts.
Yeah, you could
You
have
could do that
some
in
fun.
fun little fabrics. And you could put some little pins in them. Or,
For sure. And you could embellish it a little on the end if you wanted to. But
yeah.
And the pool noodle was $1.25. So
well, and you could, like you said, if you're working ahead several quilts, well, you've got enough there to make binding for
several. Yeah, and have them
it's
sitting in a
all around,
basket ready to go. So
Good old dollar store.
So there. Yeah, and then we do sell thimbles too when you're doing all your hand stitching. I know after a quilt I'll have a little bit of a gouge in my finger where I'm always pushing on that needle. So there is some different thimbles that we sell. So you could probably do the same trick without covering it in fabric, but I like to cover it in fabric because I like that it's cute. so yeah. There's my little binding demo. I think that answered everyone's questions.
Thank you. That was just awesome, Arlene.
Do you want to do show and tell?
Yeah. and we can do show and tell.
Oh, Tammy, look at you go. Here is Louise, and this is a special quilt that she has made. I think that is she's donating to the Mennonite Relief Sale this year. Beautiful quilt.
There's Angelique.
And this was like camping and
Camping thing, yeah. It might be hard to see, but yeah, she really enjoys camping, so it's a cute little quilt. And Marlene with Love Is. She still had one of those panels. I don't know who it was for, but sweet.
A baby that's coming. Yeah.
And here's Chris Hussey. Look at this sweet little one.
Well, that's for a sweet little one coming soon, that she's very excited about. She did a great job. And this is Norma. And this was a block of the month, I think, or sew along that she worked on. And she said it was kind of long, but she enjoyed it, that she finished it.
Nice high contrast. Oh, and look at this one.
So this is Bonnie from our beginner class in the fall. And she did it in Lori Holt fabrics.
Mm-hmm. It looks it's very, very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was very happy with it.
And they all look so different, you know? It's a really nice quilt, and they all turn out different.
This is Shara Britton. She came in on Saturday, and she was so happy to show us her cute little applique quilts. That's what she likes to do. So this one was dogs.
They're fun. They're really funny when you get up close.
Yeah, they were
If you have a bigger screen, it's worth looking at them because they're really comical.
And they're very scrappy and just colorful. And then she had this one as well. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also had this was our second paper piecing class, part 1, on Thursday. So that's Beth and Diane, Jane and Lynn.
And there's Kathy and
Marilyn?
Sandra. No. Her last name? Sharon.
Murphy. There we go.
Sharon
Sorry about that, Sharon.
I knew we knew your name.
So they had fun. I think they're on their way.
And I know that some of those people have been signing up for part 2.
Yes. So
and like the next one. And then there will be a big quilt that we will be doing. Okay.
So we have a little bit of fabric today. Bright and cheery. This is from Northcott. What's the name of this line?
Inspired, I think.
So
that is a nice, inspiring print, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. The blue looks really nice with it. There's a happy yellow.
Yeah, that's a very happy yellow. And these are $17 a yard. And then there's another one.
Another happy one.
That reminds me of tie-dyed shirts back in the 70s, I guess.
Every era comes back with tie-dye shirts in some form.
I know, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that was before you guys were born.
Yeah, but we've had tie-dyes in the 80s.
And these are a couple from Free Spirit. Just nice.
Sue Pen.
Yeah, just nice and bright. Look at that, with all the lime green.
This is from beautiful, I forget what I saw. Butterfly Fields, sorry. And then the blue one.
And here's the blue. Look at that.
Okay.
Lots of color and movement in there. Make be part of a beautiful quilt.
And then we did get the Buttermere wide backs in now. They're $31 a yard. So there's this linen color.
So this is Strawberry Thief, but sort of in a tone on tone, with the bird.
And then there's the classic blue.
It is a classic.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the biggest binding ironing pad? Somebody's just... There's a comment.
Yeah, and they're asking about the price of it.
Yeah, that's the Binding Ease, and it was $45.
And you can go Like how many inches is that? That's a couple inches. So you can
Oh.
make wide and narrow, because that would be even good for stems for applique if you were doing bias.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's just lots of uses for that. I think that's okay there.
Oh, right. The quilt behind us is called Arlene's Garden. It's 42 inches by 42 inches, and the kit is $67.
Just something to get us thinking about spring. Those happy little ladybugs and the pretty flowers.
Okay. I guess it's store price time. So we will do the scrapbook first.
Lori White.
Congratulations, Lori. Can get that word out. And then the little zipper pouch.
Ruth Lopez.
Congratulations, Ruth.
And then the fun little spring fat quarters.
Cindy Zook.
Congratulations, Cindy.
Let us know if you'll be in to pick that up or if we need to mail that to you. It's just a little thank you for watching and supporting us.
Yeah, something fun. It's always fun to win something.
It is.
And thank you so much for joining us. It's nice dry road, so it's kind of a nice time to come for a road trip and visit us. Like I said, we're, as Tammy mentioned earlier, there's some other classes being added to the webpage, and we'll keep you posted.
People have been asking too, the bus trip is full, but
Yes.
we're taking names for a waiting list because sometimes cancellations happen.
Yes.
But as of now, it is full. All right. Okay, have a great week.
Thank you for joining us again.